Good morning, Jill. How are you?
I'm great. Mark, how are you doing?
Great. Thank you very much for taking the time. I know you've got an extremely busy schedule.
Happy to be here.
Awesome.
Great.
Now, uh, I'm so stoked because you and I first met through Front Funder when I was talking about doing ultimate pitch for startups, and Front Funder, you were the growth officer there.
Right.
And so that for folks who don't know, is Front Funder actually do they classify as VC or?
Well, it's a good question. It's sort of a bridge, right? They're
Hmm.
an exempt market dealer, so bringing sort of democratizing the investment sector, right? Bringing together exactly,
Power to the
creating
people.
exactly reducing those barriers to access for entrepreneurs who are raising capital, but then of course broadening the population who can come in and support them. So they could be the average Canadian or average citizen,
Hmm.
could include angel investors, but I would
Hmm.
say it's probably that step before VC.
Yeah.
So that sort of, yeah, that bridge into that.
So, and then we lose touch for a year or so, and suddenly you pop up as the head of the Women's Enterprise Center.
Yeah, here I am.
So I hadn't heard of the Women's Enterprise Center. What is the Women's Enterprise Center? I remember when we first talked, I thought it's sort of like the Chamber of Commerce kind of thing, but it's not.
It's not. And you know what's really interesting? The organization's actually been around for 25 years, right? So, and we sort of say we'd rather not exist, right? But we continue. There continues to be a great need to support the unique paths of women entrepreneurs, and so we do that in what we call an integrated model, right? So we provide loans up to $150,000. Those are secured loans, but we also offer early access or easy access loans that are unsecured up to $50,000. But the critical part is combining that with ongoing support, right? And we do that through mentoring programs, both peer group mentoring, one-on-one mentoring, business advisory services, client services where you can actually call or email us and we'll try to direct you in the right place or resource. And then of course skills development and training, right? So everything from cash flow projections and planning your growth strategies to exporting to new markets. And so it's that critical, yeah, integration of capital and support and sustained support, right? It's not like
Mhm.
a one stop, like here you go. It's like we want to support you along every step of your journey.
So it's somewhere in between, like a business sort of services service, like it's downtown at the Skybus or Cbus terminal down there. I remember using their services when I first started
Right.
out.
Small business BC.
That's it, small
Yeah.
business BC, and incubator accelerator. It's kind of a mashup of the two.
It's a mashup of the two, but I would say that the biggest thing is that it's a sustained support, right? So a lot of accelerators, they're for a defined period of time, right?
Hmm.
6 months or sometimes 12 months, or what, they're
All
all
of them are,
different.
aren't they?
All of them are, yeah,
It's
exactly.
up or out, right?
Exactly. And Small Business BC has incredible services, and they're a great partner of ours. But there tend to be more workshops and webinars and things to kind of get you going at different parts or stages of your business evolution, where we really have that sustained support along the way. And I say that Women's Enterprise Center is one of BC's best kept secrets. I was
Not
actually on.
anymore.
No, yeah, we're going to change that. That is
As
one of
of
our
tomorrow.
exactly. One of our key focuses is changing that, but it's because we really focus on filling gaps. We collaborate and partner with a lot of the organizations you mentioned, Chamber of Commerce, accelerators, innovation centers, other entrepreneurial support organizations, other organizations doing great work in immigrant services and others, right? So that we can fill those gaps and connect those dots for people.
Hmm.
So we just kind of are head down doing the work. And I can't take credit, of course. I've just stepped into this role in the last year, but I did serve on the board for 8 years and saw the great work that was happening. And obviously, I've been active in this space of supporting entrepreneurs for most of my career. So it's an honor to now jump in and, yeah, hopefully elevate awareness of the services that we offer and the support. And it's more important than ever, right, in this critical time.
All right. Now, as Nacho Libre said, tell us the real nitty gritty. Let's talk about women entrepreneurs. I'm fascinated by the subject because I don't even know what I did, but somewhere along the line, women started to come to me to help build pitches and write speeches. And I'm like, why are you picking me out? I'm an old white guy. And but I don't know. Maybe it's just
Just
I'm
have to
wired different. I don't know what. But so I'm fascinated. And as I was writing these speeches for women entrepreneurs, I'm going, holy crap. There's a whole world out there that as a dude, you just don't even see.
Right.
So talk to us about that. And then after we talk about women, I want to talk about inclusivity and diversity, because that's a whole other kettle of fish too. So talk to us about unique challenges, opportunities, zigzags for women entrepreneurs.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for approaching that and saying it's not just challenges, because that's not how we look at it at all, right? It is a unique approach. I mean, every entrepreneur has a unique approach, but typically the systems, or certainly when it comes to capital or other resources, have been set up for a certain type of entrepreneur, right? That hasn't always been inclusive. And that's part of why we exist at Women's Enterprise Center, because, research definitely shows, and I'll speak to women, and then, as you said, we can talk more about deeper diversity, which is critical. But it's different approaches. It tends to be longer term growth. Motivations are different. More women tend to start businesses because they want to solve a problem or have an impact in the world, combined with making money.
Hold on. What?
Crazy.
Wait a minute, but what do dudes do? Or they just fall in love with an idea and they say, I got to make it. Or
well,
what?
typically the key motivation, and this is backed by research, is making money. For more men tend to put making money first as a primary motivator, and women, it tends to be around impact, combined with money, but it is driven by impact. So right from the get-go, right from out of the gates, how you're thinking about business, how you're defining business, your growth strategies are all going to be different. And when you look at in Canada, right, 98% of businesses is small, and 82% of those are micro businesses. So we really need to focus in on how we can support those businesses to grow, should they want to grow. And I think that's the other thing. When we look at women entrepreneurs, many of them have a growth mindset, but it's not a hockey stick growth mindset necessarily, right? They're not going to just, and that tends to be what some investors look for, which is why we see less than 4% of venture capital going to women entrepreneurs. It's not wrong. It's just the way that's been success has been defined. And even on that point, often success defined, certainly by the media, is how much money a company has raised. Well, that in itself is, to me, a ridiculous indicator of success. It's how are you going to spend that money? What's the impact you're going to have? How many jobs are you creating? What is your profit margins, right? It's so much bigger than that. Yet we celebrate dollars raised versus how they're put to work.
Well, there's this whole bro culture, this whole fast company dude culture that's around. I went from 0 to IPO in 3 months, and that's why I think so many entrepreneurs shoot themselves too, because they go, "Am I the only guy, girl, who didn't go from 0 to IPO in 3 months? I must be terrible."
Right.
There's a tremendous amount of mental illness and depression in this.
Huge amount, and also failure. Right? You just, the percentage of success in that formula is not very high. It's like 1 in 10 might get to that next level. Like that, those are not great statistics. So when you think about, motivations are different. You think about the approach. Women entrepreneurs tend to be what we call more risk astute. So it's certainly not risk adverse.
That's a funny word for it. I've never heard that, risk astute. It means that the girls are smarter, is what it means.
It means they're doing more research, they're taking more time, they're making very methodical, thoughtful decisions around accessing capital, around accessing new markets, around which customers they're taking on, around how they're building culture and building their teams, right? Takes more time, but there's more research. It's more sustained growth, right? It's more steady, sustained growth over a longer period of time. And that's what the data is showing. That's what we see, certainly in our everyday interactions. And quite honestly, those are the companies that I want to support.
Yeah, I was going to say, that sounds to me like a sustainable company. You go, okay, it starts by figuring out there's a problem to solve. I'm going to make a difference solving that problem. Great. Second thing, I'm going to build a sustainable business that doesn't go batshit crazy and take on all this debt, investment, and then just plummet because I don't have the scale mentality just yet. That makes a ton of sense too. Now, there was one thing that really struck me, and I heard this from incubator after accelerator. Women pitch different. The whole, when you're in a room and you get a whole bunch of dudes lined up and they're all, I'm going to pitch this. And women, they're much more conversational and interactive.
Yeah.
And I know from my own experience in branding that if you go into a proposal situation and you turn it into a conversation, likelihood of success far higher. But
Absolutely.
dudes stand there and
Exactly, exactly. And also the research shows in the pitch environment too that investors tend to look when a male is pitching at their potential, right? Future potential. Whereas there's a bit of a bias looking back and saying, what has this woman done? What's the track record? What's the history here? And not necessarily buying into the vision. But you're right, the approach tends to be different. It's about relationship building. And that's why, even the pitch format, it excludes a lot of people, not just women,
Mhm,
but a lot of people, even introverts, people from other cultures, right? But that's not a comfortable environment. It's set up to be very adversarial, right? Very
mhm,
one-sided. When actually, if you're going to engage in a relationship with an investor, which is what those are intended to do, you want it to be a reciprocal relationship, right? It needs to be built on mutual trust, mutual understanding, mutual vision, right?
mhm.
And support. So again, right there, just that format is setting those relationships up for not
Does
for
that
success.
mean the cowboys who are, they were the startup guys, made a lot of money, now they're the investors. Does that mean you have to give them a wide berth and find a whole new group of people to talk to?
Uh, in my opinion, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, right? Because I mean, we all have biases, absolutely, right? And you tend to invest in what you know, or in those cases, yeah, people you know too. And so it's a cycle, right? And we know that right now, just as an example, less than 20% of angel investors are women. Um, Much smaller people of color or women of color. Um, those making in venture capital firms, right? Very small percentage. I think it's 13% was last year, right? So you just look at lack of diversity making decisions around where the money is flowing. Even
Mhm.
in banks, women access less than 20% of bank financing too. And it's the system that's set up in a certain way. So there are changes happening. There is acknowledgement because there's so much data that's showing not just that things need to change, but actually the results as a result of that are much stronger, right? So I look at Women's Enterprise Center, we have an incredible repayment rate on our loans. Like it's extraordinary. And the typical traditional financial institutions look at us and go, what, how can that be possible?
Well, hold on a minute. That goes right back to Grameen Bank, the dude who set up the microloan
Right.
system in
Absolutely.
India. And it
Absolutely.
was
Yeah.
100% to women
Yeah.
because the repayment on those microloans to set
Yeah.
up like a stitching thing or
Yeah. Yeah.
some small
Yeah.
micro business, women paid off 100% of these small
Yeah.
loans, and the guys, not so much.
Yeah. No, it's that accountability factor too, right? So also, if you're going to engage in a take on money, because of that risk astuteness and that research and that thoughtfulness, right? Before you do that, when you engage in that relationship, then you're doing it. You're accountable. You want to
Mhm,
repay that, and you want to do good on your on
mhm,
what you've agreed to, right?
mm.
So therefore, there is it may not be the payment terms, and we see that too as a development lender, right? We can be flexible sometimes in how we support our entrepreneurs and extend payment terms if we need to, but it's relationship, right? So we're able
And
to have those conversations.
that they know that it's important
Exactly.
to not burn the bridges. Now, tip time. There are a lot of women entrepreneurs who belong to this group. Thoughts, because I know that a few of them, or a lot of them, like all entrepreneurs, are in a place right now. They've just taken a kicking with the
Yeah.
economy.
Yeah.
Um, Thoughts, like things that you see coming through the door of the Women's Enterprise Center, where you go, we've got this thing that seems to really be a good pick me up for people and really be a product for its time. Is there anything like that right now that you're noticing women are taking advantage of a lot more?
Yeah, well, there's a number of things. And first, I just wanted to address, we are seeing also that women entrepreneurs have been disproportionately impacted by COVID in the last 12 months, primarily because of the sectors that they're represented in, as
Mhm,
well as women still tend to take on more of the care responsibilities
mhm,
at home. So that is a factor too. So we've been doing a number of things at Women's Enterprise Center. So all of our webinars and educational sessions are free right now. So those are open to anybody now, right? The barriers to access are
mhm.
drastically reduced. We have people coming from all over the place, small communities who wouldn't normally have access to those types of resources before. But the two most popular topics, of course, are around planning, financial forecasting, and support in a very inclusive environment, and that's really critical, as well as digitization and how to get, how do you promote your business and get those
Hmm.
out. So one of my words of advice is always ask for help, right? It's okay, you're not alone. We're all in this together, and I think that's why this group is so great too.
Hmm.
But we're here to help, right? That's our goal. So reach out, take advantage of these resources. We're also helping to deploy the regional relief and recovery loan right now on behalf of the federal government. That's a limited time opportunity, so by March, but that's up to $60,000, right? And if it's 75% of that first 40 is repaid by the end of December 2022, you get to keep 25% of that. That's
Hmm.
pretty nice. And that
That's a
extra
great
20,
deal.
and it's 0% interest, right? So that
Hmm.
extra 20,000 is at 50% forgivable, right? So
Right.
those are opportunities. Like, think about how can you use that and how can we support you, and reach out and ask those questions, right? That
Yeah.
because there's no harm in that. Learn, understand, and that may tie into other sources of capital.
Well, yeah, I mean, one more that I don't even know who told me, but I tried out for that one. And because
Right.
my company, I pay myself dividends, not a wage. So I
Yes.
didn't have enough recurring expenses. So what you need to have, you need to be able to prove, folks, if you're trying out for this, is that you have a certain plateau of recurring expenses
Exactly.
that you need to offset. So
Yeah.
I didn't qualify because I do dividends, not wages.
Right. Right.
However, there's another one out there, which is 15 grand, and it's a grant. It's not even a loan. And I don't know for the life of me who told me or what it's called, but I'm qualified for that right now.
And
So
I don't know that
there's
one
good
either. And
stuff.
usually I
But
I know. Yeah.
but
There
people, you have to reach out, otherwise you'll
You have
never
to reach
find
out.
out.
Yeah, that's the key. Reach out, ask questions, ask your friends, or
Hmm.
make a call, ask your bank, right? Because there are a number of programs and supports. And I think the really critical piece is the bridge and the linkage, right? We don't know where the next 24 months are going to hold. Some businesses are going to, we talk about the survive or thrive. We're seeing that gap widen, where some
Hmm.
companies are really thriving and have been able to pivot and adapt, and others, based on a variety of factors, are really struggling. But we
Hmm.
want to do what we can to support all of those companies. And so, yeah, reach out.
Now, so people, a friend of mine, Grad Khan, he's a CMO with a hot new company in New York. He said, you're doing something really unique. You've got a peer-to-peer advice network. And I'd never heard of that before. He said, yeah, well,
What's
I've
that?
never seen it before either. But to me, it seems like the Women's Enterprise Center would be an ideal place where you have a tribe where it doesn't just, the advice doesn't just trickle down, but it
Oh,
gets shared around.
100%. And Mark, one of the things that with the Regional Relief and Recovery Loan Program, because we have so many new loan clients, exactly that, we're actually forming peer mentoring groups. So that's just another unique thing. So recipients, you get the capital, you get to link in with your peers, your peer mentoring group, to learn from each other. And then that
Mhm.
will be facilitated by a business advisor. So it's yeah, exactly that peer support. We all bring something different and unique to the table, right? Different perspectives, and that's what makes us all stronger, right? And will help our business grow.
I see something like this exploding because I also see the amount of people being turfed out of companies. I see, I mean, I see corporations as a construct of the 20th century. It's very artificial to go and do a very specific job in a big company and have your benefits and all that stuff covered. It's much more human to be on your own,
Yeah.
and you break your leg, you die. Like it's a nasty world. I see a lot more women entrepreneurs in the next 24 months. Any projections on that?
Yeah, I agree with you. We're seeing that. I mean, we know right now 37% of entrepreneurs are women. So, but we absolutely project that we're going to see that increase, because we're also seeing just from a data point, RBC just came out with a report that a third of women are considering quitting their jobs right now,
One
for a
third.
variety of factors. One third. That is significant to the Canadian economy. But when you
Wow.
reframe that, which is what you were just doing, around opportunity, right? So a number of those are going to create their own paths going forward and create new businesses. We are seeing, I can tell you too, that we are seeing an increase in our core loan inquiries, right? So that's intriguing as well. We support businesses that are starting as well as growing down the path, but we are seeing, people taking this time, had a bit more time at home, whatever your situation is, to think about what's next and can I create something and build on the experience I have.
I think probably the most important thing that you can give right now, like I have learned being on my own, and no doubt you have, is that there's other folks like you out
Yeah,
there.
Absolutely.
And it's so scary if you're doing it. You don't even know what the questions are and you feel like
Yes.
a dumbass and a failure.
Exactly.
And I think it's so important that entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
entrepreneurs from diverse backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds,
Yeah.
that they know that you exist. Because I think the world can be a scary place. Imagine you're 40 years old and you belong to the 1/3 that's quitting their comfortable job. What a terrifying place.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, that's so critical. You're not alone. And it's easy to get caught up in that, right? But just reach
Yeah.
out. And I think we all have to do that, right? We all have to reach out a hand to each other. I mean, one of my favorite things is we all need to reach ahead and put your hand out and ask for help and seek what you need. But most importantly, reach back, right? And make sure those around you are being supported as well and that you can share
Hmm.
your own gifts with them.
Yeah. Well, I know, I just speaking for myself, it has been a transformational experience since last summer, since I said, I'm going to take on this brand DIY thing, because I just freaking love entrepreneurs. And they're way more fun than
Yes.
brand managers at Procter and Gamble. They're just so much more fun. They're like a
Yeah.
whole bunch of kids in the museum, they're always
Yeah.
touching the dinosaur bones and getting lost, and it's way fun.
Yeah.
And the world needs more people like that, because we need
Absolutely.
ideas and we need people who are unafraid of taking a different route.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Yeah.
you're doing the Lord's work here.
No, well, we all are, right? I think that's the thing. I mean, you're creating such an incredible community too, and that's integral to, yeah, to
Yeah.
success moving forward. So
Yeah.
we each have to do
Jill,
our part.
how, I mean, Women's Enterprise Center, I'll find that right away if I Google it, right?
Womensenterprise.ca. Yeah,
Womensenterprise.ca. I'm going to link it in the show notes to this.
awesome.
And I'm going to link you as well. You're part of the Brand DIY group. So women entrepreneurs, if you don't even know the question or you have a very
Yes,
specific question or
yes.
what, Jill is part of our group. And in the show notes of this, you can just click on her name and she's right there for you.
Happy to help. Yeah,
Thank you
awesome.
so much for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. It's great to be here. Great to chat with you as always. Love your
Rock and
energy.
roll. See ya. Bye.
Thanks. Take care. Bye.
Bye.